What is up, YouTube? This is Zachary Unloff here from Card Openings, and today what I got for you, no mail, no nothing, just a contest response for Cardcutter, aka Garrett, here on YouTube. You guys should know him. If you're subscribed to me, you should know him. He wanted to, whoops, my camera isn't very steady, I'm sorry, guys. He held out a contest to make a football team out of YouTubers. Well, I'm not very, I don't really talk to a lot of, card YouTubers, so, I kind of just wrote down people that I don't really talk to, but I just saw their face and stuff, and I kind of thought that they would fit good for that position. But I do talk to a few people, so let's actually start off with the people I talk to. So for quarterback, I watched Christian with LS Cards' video, and he had Caleb's cards. Well, you know what? I had him there too. I feel like he would really fit in being a quarterback. Just his body type just really, he seems pretty tall. I've never seen him in person or seen him on camera on YouTube, but I've seen his Facebook picture and he looks pretty tall. He looks like a quarterback. Like he just looks like one. He's kind of the leader of the community, if you know what I mean. He gets a lot of TTMs. Great guy. Just I think he'd be a great quarterback for this. Um, Running back, I got Garrett himself actually. Usually people put him at end because he's a JJ Watt fan, which is a great position for him, which I would put him there too, but I just don't want to copy everyone. So I think he'd be a great running back just because he'd power through people, and I feel like he'd be pretty fast. So I think that'd be a great position for him. Wide receiver. I put two wide receivers down. The first one is Christian with LS Cards. I feel like he'd be a great receiver because he looks pretty tall. He seems pretty skinny and pretty fast, and that's kind of what you look for in a receiver. You want to be pretty tall and jump up for those balls that would get passed pretty high, and he seems like he'd be pretty fast as well. So I think Christian would fit the wide receiver position pretty well. I talk to Christian a lot, so shout out to you, Christian. Caleb would be delivering to you. Wide receiver 2 would be DeLong Shot Signatures, aka Landon DeLong. He's also like Christian. He looks pretty fit and good shape. Just looks like he'd be a great receiver, and that's why I put him there. Now we're on to the defense. I didn't do offensive linemen. Nothing against offensive linemen. I just couldn't really think of any linemen. So anyway, let's go to the defense. So for linebacker, or actually no, let's just start out from defensive line up. So for defensive ends, I got JY Cards, aka Jackie Young. He looks like he'd be a really good pass rusher, pretty fast and pretty bulky, pretty muscular. So I feel like he'd be a good pass rusher to get to the quarterback. And also the Nixter 136818. He also looks the same, look pretty fit, and he looks like he'd get to the quarterback. So next, we got defensive tackles, which I wrote down as my first defensive tackle to have Mike O. He looks like a pretty big dude that would stuff the run up pretty good, so I feel like he would be a great defensive tackle. In Caleb's Cards, I watched his video. He put me and Mike O as a defensive tackle. I'd put Mike O there as well, but I'm not going to do myself, obviously. But just to let you know, I commented on your video, if you're watching this, that I did play defensive tackle quite a bit when I played football, but I don't play anymore just because coaches screwed me over. So anyway, I have two defensive tackles. So Mike O is the one, and then the other one is Brad 8671. He also looks pretty big and pretty big to stop the run and get to the quarterback, and I feel like he'd be a good position there. Next, we got linebackers. I only got one linebacker, and it was Jacob Glenn. He doesn't really show himself on camera, so I can't really tell, but in his profile picture on YouTube, he looks like he'd be a pretty buff dude and pretty fast, and he looks like he'd play good coverage and keep up with the receivers and tight ends that he's guarding, and he would also pass rush pretty well. So that's why I would put him there. He looks pretty medium, so kind of in the middle of the line and safeties and stuff. I'm no expert in football, so don't think I'm smart at this or anything, at the positions. So anyway, we got cornerbacks. The first cornerback would be Tanner Ramberg. I make a lot of deals with him. I was going to put him at receiver, but I only wanted two receivers, and I wanted to save him for corners because receivers and corners, they kind of have to be the same size and the same built, because corners basically are a receiver, just covering them, because you gotta like stay on them and you gotta be pretty tall to be able to intercept high passes, and so it kind of falls in the same category. So that's why I'd put Tanner as a corner defensive back. And then I got one more corner, ripping cards with a Z at the end. He looks pretty small, but he looks like he'd be really fast. So I feel like he would just be able to stay with the receivers really well and contest. So yeah, and then last but not least, I got one safety, and it is Jay McGillicuddy. He just seems like he'd be right there with you to help the run if it's a good run, or he'd be right there to help the corners. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for holding this contest, Garrett, aka Cardcutter. That was really fun to make. So thank you guys all for watching. Sorry if I didn't include you in this. I could only do a certain position. So anyway, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.